Bought your book.
Good. Did you like it?
I did. It was a lot of fun actually reading it.
Okay, because that's what it's supposed to be. It's not an intellectual book or anything like that. It's just a
Yeah.
feel good, happy book.
Yeah. So it was nice. It was good. In fact, I know comparison is not fair, but several authors came to my mind. One was I was wondering if does it have Woodhouseian humor, and then I thought of R.K. Narayan, yeah, a little bit. But the most common, the name that stuck was James Herriot. Have you read any of his books?
James Herriot is like my mentor and
There
my
you go.
everything in writing. I am
Okay.
one of his probably most devout fans.
Uh-huh.
And we went all the way to Thirst to see his place, my husband and I. Both of us are
Oh,
such fans of his. And we
okay.
met his son. He took us around the place.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, we got a B&B just opposite his place because I just wanted to savor all that as much as possible. And
Okay.
they said we were the only Indians who had traveled all the way to Thirst to see the place. I absolutely just love his writing. He
Oh,
is like everything for me in writing.
okay. I remember
There's
reading
three
it
of
when I
us here
was.
now.
Sorry?
Harriet fans, there's three of us now.
Okay. In fact, and
Yeah.
we took a car and we went round to all because they are Harriet tours. So we
Mm.
went round to see all the place on the Dales. It was
Hmm.
like a whole day's trip.
Right.
And
Right.
we even saw the place where they had their, that little, it was a B&B where they stayed.
Uh.
Soon as Harriet and his wife got married.
Uh.
So we went there. We went almost anything to do with Harriet, we had ticked off in our list.
I see. Like I said, I remember reading his book when I was, I think, about
All things bright and beautiful.
yeah, all creatures, great and small.
Beautiful.
I think I was about
Wow.
10. I was probably 10 years old. And that was about 100 years back, so you can do the math.
His son is probably about 75 now. His daughter
Yeah,
is
yeah.
probably in her
Uh,
late 60s.
right. Mm. There's another television serial that comes along called Doc Martin. I don't know if you had a chance to see that.
No.
That's more or less on the
Talks
lines of
about the veterinary, about
no,
animals.
no, it's about people.
I see. Okay.
So he's a physician in one of these
Okay.
quaint little English towns, and that
Okay.
that too was very picturesque and nice place it was
Hmm.
set in. Right.
They've adapted James Herriot's books into television series, and I think there's a movie. So
Oh, really?
a lot has happened with Harriet.
Oh,
So their
oh,
television
okay.
series, I think two series were there.
Uh-huh. Okay. I was not
Can
aware
they
of
be
that.
as good as the book? I wonder. And I am a big believer that once you love a book, nothing
Mm,
can substitute that.
No, that is true because you have your own imagination when you, and if anything, sorry,
that's okay.
so you don't like your imagination to be, changed with somebody else's imagination, especially when you create such vivid scenes in your mind.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. That's why, podcasts or the spoken word is much more, or the written word is also very exciting because you form your own images inside your head.
Yes, that is true.
But once you define it on celluloid or on a movie set, it really
Mm.
loses its charm. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
And even when you adapt a book, because you find some nuances of the book so special, and that the recreator may not be able to, doesn't may
Hmm.
not think that is special enough. So you'd always feel wanting. Maybe they should have put that scene. They should have put that story also into the picture.
True.
Some things, so many things get left out.
That's why I think R.K.
Always,
Narayan. Sorry, Uma, go ahead.
no, there's so much emotion in those words. So every gate he opened and every
Yes,
chili
yes.
water that he dipped his hand into for whatever, you felt it with the book, right? How can you recreate it now
Oh,
in
yes,
any other
absolutely.
imagery?
Yes.
I don't know. I firmly believe good books like that, particularly Harriet. Very strange that you brought up Harriet. It's really amazing how
Yeah,
much of
that's the first thing
emotion
that.
there is in that.
Yeah, that's the
Yes,
first thing that
like
struck
each
me
of
actually
those
when I.
scenes where, especially if you're an animal lover, And when he writes with so much of poignancy, it's something which is so special, really.
True. And you have 2 dogs and 2 cats. Wow. How do they all
Yeah,
coexist?
now, because when I wrote the book, it was some time back. Now
Okay.
they have had their little family, so we have 2 dogs and 4 cats.
Wow. and,
And
and
they live in perfect harmony. That's the nicest part of it. My husband is a cat lover, and I am more of a dog lover. So we kind of manage. He loves dogs too, but he has this little special thing for cats as well.
okay. Yeah, I laughed my head off when you described how those 2 huge dogs came into the clinic and all of you jumped and scrambled on top of the table
Yes.
and there was not enough space.
No, that is true. But she did, because I thought I was the mad dog lover. And when she brought her 2 Great Danes,
Uh-huh.
I said, okay, there's somebody else madder than I am.
So how does this come about? How does this thing? I know you learned music for some time and then you had some other hobbies. And how did you get to writing?
See, I had this peculiar habit when my children would study. I have 2 boys. So
Uh-huh.
when they would study, I would just sit with them, doing nothing, just reading something. I'm also, like I have also written in my this introduction, I'm very interested in food. So I
Right.
first thought I would write a cookbook. And I had even named my cookbook, and I thought of all the recipes I would write. And because I am very interested in anything to do with food. Then I just thought that, to write down a recipe book is a lot more difficult than just writing something out of your memory. So you need to give the exact ingredients and you
Right.
need to try out all that. So then I thought that I would do that when I have little more time. Then I had this, I wanted to write. And I said, I was trying all kinds of things. And I said, why don't I just write something from my memory? So then I started off writing, because dentistry is a fascinating subject because you can find humor in a lot of things.
Right. Right.
If you're the type who looks for humor in everything,
Yeah.
so it will give you just what you want.
True.
So I've had a lot of fun, because it's just not just for me, it's like a profession, it's art, it's science, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess. And you more or less have your patients captive, right? I mean, once they're back and they're not strapped on, but
No, if they want, they can leave. That's really up to them. But now dentistry is quite painless, unlike what it was earlier.
oh,
In
tell
fact,
me
I have.
about it. Tell me about it. I remember those things when those pulleys with those, those
Yes,
cords used to go around.
yes.
I think something
No,
similar caught your hair the first time.
yes, yes. Yes. No, but
Yes.
those days, in fact, I had a patient who, in fact, came and told me, and he'd had multiple root canals. And see, as the year progresses, and more of R&D has done, and so the pain part of it is becoming much less.
Oh,
So
yes.
he actually came and told me, he said, Doc, I'm fine. I'm ready for root canals. And in fact, I'm beginning to enjoy them. I said, wow, that's a first.
That's the
He
ultimate.
actually said that, Otherwise,
Really?
people would dread root canals, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
fine.
I mean,
Now
in fact,
it's almost painless.
yeah, in fact, there's somebody was saying, yeah, I need it like a root canal, that kind of a comparison when you want to do something you don't want to do. But then
Now I think, implants and root canals and all are
yeah,
almost painless.
yeah,
But it's
and
just
this,
the fear part of it in the patient's mind
right,
because of their previous their experiences. So when
right,
they say dentist and that position, you have that light, and like you
yeah,
rightly say, you think you're captive because of the arms of the chair, and you feel you're trapped inside. There's
yeah,
a couple of these painless incidences, and I think you'll be
yeah.
fine.
And is it because of the high RPM of the drill, or what has
We
changed?
have the RPM of the drill is very high. It goes for
Yeah.
more than 1 lakh.
Wow. Okay. And also, I think those bits stop when it hits flesh, right? I mean, if it hits your gum by mistake, it stops, right?
Not really. It
Oh,
doesn't
not
stop
really.
like that. The
Okay.
dentist will know that it's not on something solid, and if it's on something soft, the dentist it's under his control. It's manual. It's not automatically. It doesn't stop.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Okay, then my dentist lied to me. I think he told me something to make me feel comfortable, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, a couple of characters I was fascinated about. One was your Uncle Subra.
Okay.
book. I mean, I'm referring to yours, but actually it's Aditi Raman. So, yeah, I mean, the Mercedes and all that.
Yes, yes.
How close to the real character was he? Was there a character like that?
Quite close. Yeah,
I see.
quite close.
I see.
So
Okay.
he was doing extremely well, and what I liked about him is he was so happy about his profession, and the thing is he could do so many other things. That's what I liked. Because I'm a person who's got so many interests, each one kind of forcing the other out at that moment. So I wanted something like that. Even those days I didn't want it to be tied down to be as a physician or a gynecologist or something. You don't have too much time.
Right.
The profession is all consuming, so you need to be there for the patient like 24/7.
Yeah.
So whereas I wanted to have so many other interests, so when I found there was somebody where I could do, follow my dreams and passion and whatever, so I thought that was the thing for me.
Yeah, because at the worst case scenario, you can just ask them to take a painkiller and come back the next day, right?
Yes.
There's no real.
Oh, easy you make it sound, Nanda. Just take a painkiller and come back the next day.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that if you have a heart attack, you got to go.
You have to go. You have
to. Having a baby, you got to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So on that basis, I'm not. Yeah.
Things like dermatology and us, we don't have so many. But I'm a maxillofacial surgeon, so
right.
You have if you operate, we do have emergencies can come, but more or less it's not.
Right.
Stressful.
You mentioned it's an art and a science, interestingly, when you started talking about what you do. And you're a maxillofacial surgeon. How much of it is science and how much?
Yes. See, because dentistry per se is a lot to do with, it's like cosmetics, it's beautification also. It's not just to alleviate the pain. That is a big part of it, yes. But it's a lot of it is to beautify a person's smile, and maxillofacial surgery deals with the position of the jaws. So at some times you have patients' jaws, not the teeth can be protruding, the whole jaw could be protruding. So we have surgeries which can instantly rectify that. So a lot of it is also beautification. It's just not just pain relief.
So
and people are willing to go through that imagined trauma and perhaps some amount of real trauma to get beautified. People are willing to do that.
Because see, I had this, in fact, I have written this about my book. I had this patient and she was 27 and her mother brought her and she had very protruding teeth, but with the jaw protruding. So at 27, she was not getting married, and this I'm talking about is now about 15, maybe years plus. So she had come there and we had a look and we said, no, this cannot be corrected by just wearing a clip, what you say, an appliance. It requires a surgery. So we did the surgery and that's it. I didn't see her maybe for 6-7 months or maybe a little beyond that. And she comes there and she brings her husband. She was looking so beautiful. In fact, I didn't recognize her. Then she introduced me. I said, see, this is what can happen, because it's like instantly you can get relief. It's like a cosmetic surgery. We had to do a surgery for her. And she looked so good. And I think the next suitor came and he said yes. And he was so blissfully happy. So many things happen like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's like actually, if you see them work on the dentures, it's like working on a piece of jewelry, right? I mean,
yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So,
in fact, some of my patients would say, and see, some of these are quite expensive because we not only have to, the material are expensive, we have expensive mechanics, so the whole procedure becomes expensive. So one of my patients said, she said, oh, this is so expensive that I would have to almost think that, I could keep it into a locker because I would have paid so much for it. The bank locker, I meant.
Yeah. Get it. The other part that really took me back in time was the way you described that new clinic of, I think it was Dr. KS, who one of the first polyclinics that with the maze And those, the way that you describe those half-empty paint tins,
Yes.
you can almost see it. I mean, that's exactly how things are, right? When a new building is built.
He was also a person who was so, he's just there in my memory. He's somebody I just can't forget.
Right. I had my earlier career in aviation. I was working in the airport.
I see.
A similar kind of situation where there was this, I had to page for it was Major General Swaminathan or something like that. I mean, I may not remember the name. But when he showed up, he was a 5 foot nothing with, a puny face. But then when you call for it, you expect a huge burly guy with a, strapping army uniform coming in. Yeah. The other question was turkey biryani. I've never heard of that.
Turkey biryani. Yes, this Blue Diamond turkey biryani was one of the specialities in Blue Diamond.
Where exactly is Blue Diamond?
Sapphire Theatre, no? Sapphire Theatre, no.
No. It is somewhere in Punamali High Road.
Blue Diamond, the restaurant in Punamali High Road. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, the places I've written about, Blue Diamond and Velu Military, they were all closed.
Oh, Velu is closed?
Yes. Unfortunately closed. My husband and I were actually devastated when we saw that it was closed, and that was another of our place. It's almost like, going to visit like a pilgrimage. We used to go there. Whenever we had a little bit of money, we would visit that place.
Velu was on the turning of Nugabakam Road into...
In Eldams Road.
Oh, Eldams Road.
Yeah. They had one on Village Road also.
Yeah, Village Road is the one I'm talking about.
That is close, but the original one was this one in Eldams Road.
Road.
Yeah, that was the Velu I have written about.
Oh, okay.
I think any of who have eaten there will definitely agree with me to whatever I have gone into raptures in my book about Velu.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure you would say yes to every bit. Yes.
I second that.
Okay.
I'll step back. Velu is only from the distance.
Yeah, I know.
Vegetarian, nothing else.
Right.
Yeah. Which time period was this? Was it in the 80s or?
It was in the 80s.
Okay. Yeah. I was also crazy of the many things that Nick was crazy about, the bullet motorcycle and.
Okay.
Yeah. So, are you planning to write any more?
Yes, I've just finished a sequel to this. I'm not a prolific writer because like I told you, I've got too many interests. So I've just finished the sequel because I do the editing, I do everything.
Okay.
So hopefully, after this lockdown, it should be published. So.
Oh, this time was you still have your clinic open or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
Dentists are at very high risk. So I think we'll probably open last.
Oh yeah, I mean, stupid of me to ask. I mean, that's where the transmission happens, right?
Complete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we use for everything, we use that drill.
Correct.
So the aerosol produced by the drill is very, very dangerous.
Right.
So I think dentists will probably open the last.
So the other book is a sequel to this. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. So you have still more stories tucked away.
Yes.
Okay. So this is after probably Nick married Aditi.
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
So this love interest will not be there, but of course, because I think that was one of the because it first started off with just like it was supposed to be like a diary of a dentist.
Okay.
So then the publisher said, no, I think you would have to bring a little bit of romance into it. That will be more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So after I added the romance, a lot of feedback I got was the romance turned out to be more interesting than everything else.
Yeah, the basic instinct of a human, right? We all like love.
Yes, true.
Yeah. So you probably are an example of how a person with a busy profession and a exacting profession like yours can still find the time to write a book that's interesting, holds the reader's attention. So if someone were to ask you for an advice, how do you set the time
About
aside?
Writing a book, how to find time?
Yeah.
See, because writing a book, I don't have a particular place or anything like that. It's just on the go. So if I'm busy with patients and I have got a little bit of lag time, I would write then. I would take it with me in the car, and my driver is driving. I would just write anytime. So come back home, and I'm talking about like what I did for the second book. The first book, of course, was just with my children. When they would study, I would write.
Right, you told me about that.
Yeah. But the second book is like whenever I found time, maybe 10 minutes before I went to sleep. Because some people have that, they have probably a particular place, a particular time to write. If that is your main profession, you can devote so much time. This is there, and whenever you find the time and you feel that, okay, I think that I should just finish this chapter or some idea comes up, you just write. Half the time I'll be carrying this little bit of paper and going around all over the place with it. So whenever I get the inspiration or the time, just write.
That was going to be my next question. Is it old-fashioned pen and paper, or is it laptop? Or
it was for the first book. It was just the pen and paper, and because that was so difficult, because then I had to get somebody to, because I am absolutely zero tech savvy. Then at least now I've improved a little bit. So for the second book, I just wrote it straight on Word.
Okay. Was it a nightmare for the person who's trying to edit it? Because
yes, and it was a nightmare, and it was hilarious because when we got back the manuscript after she had typed it, it was absolutely hilarious. I think that could have been one more chapter in my book. It was so funny.
With all the bloopers in it?
Oh, yes. Because she couldn't make, some of them couldn't make a head or tail of what was written. So she had her own, her own story to the whole my story. So that was absolutely hilarious.
So you have the proverbial doctor's handwriting.
I think so. Though I thought I had intentionally made it better for her. Because that's what made it so difficult. I first scribbled, and then to make her type it, I rewrote the whole thing. And so that part I think was the nightmare. So you wanted advice or something, I would say if anybody would want to write, definitely go into Word, because your correction part of it becomes so easy.
True.
Editing, correcting, and you have so many apps which can tell you, where you have made too many, you're repeating some words or your punctuation is wrong. So all that helps a lot, a real lot.
Also grammars, right? Grammar.
Yes, yeah. Pro writing aid, Grammarly, there's so many now.
Yeah, true.
Just put your chapter onto that and it will tell you what you have, where you could improve.
Okay.
Which I didn't have any of the things for the first book.
Okay. How do you market these books? Or how do you get it out in the market? It's all the publisher's job. Once you're written and given to them, it's their work.
Unfortunately, no. So the publisher, I think, just prints your book.
Oh, that's it.
More than that, I don't think. Because my publisher was a small publisher, was not one of the, but I don't think even the big ones do it.
Okay.
Because a lot of it, because they ask you how much are you going to help to promote your book?
Oh, okay.
It's all on the author. So, so you have to promote the book, you have to launch the book, and you have to get a Facebook page. A lot of it is a lot of hard work, and a writer who's really not interested in this kind of promotional thing. So that could be a drawback, because I'm basically not interested in all that.
Right.
So I found it was outside my, I was stepping out of my comfort zone doing all that. Because I was just interested in writing and thinking that, I hope somebody would just buy the book. The publisher was very, very clear. He said he would just do this much and nothing more. And I think even big publishers just don't do that. A lot of it just depends on the author. And I think the big time authors, they do a lot. They have these, maybe they would probably have these launches done in a couple of places, the big publishers. But promoting the book per se is 99.99% is on the author's head.
Oh, so you also have to pay for the book to get printed, or at least that will take care of?
No, they will print the book for you.
Okay.
And rest of it you have to handle.
So how do they make the money? They get a cut of the every book sold?
They pay you a very small amount as royalty, and the rest of it, this goes to them, no?
Oh, okay. Okay. So you cannot
So,
sell a book if you want to. You'll have to ask somebody to pick it up from a bookshop.
yes, yes. You get very few books. You
Okay.
get very few books. But for me, in my case, see, now a lot of publishing houses are closing. Like my alchemy, the person who published my book, they've closed.
Okay.
Because, coming to think of it, a lot of people don't read now. So
That's a
I
sad
think,
thing, yeah.
yeah, it is very sad. But my husband and I, at least my husband is a voracious reader. So he'll always ask his assistants. And it is really pathetic because many of them have done MDS and they are what? Many of them are 40 plus and they would not have read a single fiction.
Oh, that's sad.
Is it in any language have you read? Says no. You have Netflix, you have Hotstar, there's so many easier things to do than rather read. So why even waste time reading? That's what is their perception, I think. So a lot of publishing houses are dying out. So this publishing house published my book, they closed. So whatever books were remaining, so I have bought the books from them.
Okay.
So now it's like, so I have a few books left. So to sell them, so it's now like it's on my head to sell it. So Amazon is there. So and some few big shops in Chennai, I don't know, you would know, Higginbotham's.
Oh, Higginbotham's, of course. I used to sit there for a whole day sometimes.
Okay. Now you have so many of the places where they, sitting there is also become so convenient.
Yeah.
You have Writers Cafe, which is also a branch of Higginbotham's.
Oh. Okay.
So some big stores have got, I think Higginbotham's is the only one which has got my book and it's just on Amazon because if you really want to actively promote, it is a lot of work. You have to go and meet at the bookstores. So it becomes quite hard.
Right. So, yeah, I agree with you because creative people normally are not good.
No, they're not. But I think ones who have become really good, like Chetan Bhagat and the others, they've also got an MBA degree, I think so. They know how to do marketing. So,
yeah. I know, but you just can't. I don't know. I don't know what their mental setup is. But then, if you, I'm just thinking of my own example. If I were to write a book, and then if I had to go and ask people to buy it, that would be very self-serving, and I'd feel pretty
exactly. You
lousy doing that.
You feel you feel I don't know.
Yeah, you almost get the feeling that the other person doing you a favor.
Yeah, so I would think, want to read it, please read it, buy it from a bookstore and just be done with it, It doesn't work like that. It doesn't really work like that. You have to promote a little bit at least.
Right. So do you have this book launch or book signing stuff at...
I did have one.
Okay.
And I thought maybe I would do it in another place. And by then I think my energy fizzled out. I said, no, one place is enough. I did have a book launch in Chennai.
Okay. Does Landmark still exist on Nungambakkam High Road?
No, unfortunately, no.
Oh, that's also closed?
That place, they've got Landmarks in a couple of other malls. But that kind of, but Landmark has also become more of one of these stores which also sells, home decor. So it's not it's not an exclusive bookstore anymore.
Okay.
That atmosphere doesn't exist anymore, where you could just pull up a low stool, sit down and browse through and all that.
Right.
Just like a regular superstore. Like Doctor said, you can pick up some plasticky stuff, some melamine stuff, crockery, whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's not a bookstore.
So they also sell books?
They also
incidentally sell books. And Landmark, even the people who would serve you, they were so well informed.
Yeah.
Almost give you a little bit of a bio about the book, about a little bit about the author. So it used to be just a pleasure to go there because they were so well informed.
Yeah.
I don't think that even exists anymore.
I used to know that lady, the Hemu.
Hemu Ramaya.
Yeah.
I think she sold it to the Tatas.
Now it's a Tata thing, and Tata is good, but this is a very, very mechanical, unfeeling kind of place. There is no...
It used to be the Landmark, and with the helpers, it used to be a pleasure to go there.
I didn't find a Kindle or an electronic edition for this book. You didn't want to do it? Or?
My publishers did it, but I haven't followed up after that. I think the publishers did have a Kindle version to that.
Okay.
I don't know if you have to pay up for that, or that part of it I'm not so sure. But they did have it.
Okay. So the second book, how are you planning to market now? Is your
So I have to
publisher?
go through the same route. I'll have to have a book launch, and I'll have to have the Facebook page for that, and a book launch, and you'll get written about in a couple of papers, and so at least people are aware that this person has written a book.
Right.
That is the most important thing. So they may not just go rush and pick it up then, but somewhere in the mind they'll say, "Oh, this doctor has written a book, and it's a sequel to the first book," and so that probably forms a connection.
So
Okay.
have you decided on the title yet? Do you give it a title once you're done, or do you start off with the title?
No, I've already finished. That's all. It's Raining Smiles.
Oh,
it's Raining Smiles.
Oh, okay.
So, it's done. The whole thing is just ready. So because of this lockdown, I've just shelved the whole thing. So
okay.
And so many other interests. I'm also a Toastmaster, and so that has also cropped up. In fact, one of the persons who's also in the Toastmasters, she was the one who gave me Uma's
Prema Krishnan.
Exactly. I'm a Rotarian, Toastmaster, so there's so many things happening apart from my profession also.
So you, Toastmasters, you need to write a lot of speeches and stuff, right?
Yes. Speeches, and you have to talk, and
I remember going for a few meetings where they give you a topic and you're asked to talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's called table topics, where you have to speak impromptu.
Correct, table topics.
You just have to.
I still remember one hilarious thing that happened. Somebody asked me to speak about salsa, and I thought they were talking about the
dance?
Salsa. No, the salsa, the
relish,
relish,
the food.
So I went to great lengths to describing all that, and at the end of it, they told me, "Now we're talking about the dance."
Here you can interpret it in however. So if your idea is salsa, you rather talk about the dance. Why not?
Yeah, so
it's up to you to speak on whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah, but then that's how it turned out, and this joke even still goes around saying that Nanda went and spoke in a Toastmaster and he got toasted.
Don't we all? We go there to get toasted. That's perfectly all right.
Oh, yeah.
Have you always been in Chennai, Doctor?
My father was in the Indian Navy. So we've been all over in India, Delhi, Bombay. I finished my studies in Goa and then moved to Chennai. Then, of course, met my husband and just settled here. So with my 2 dogs and 4 cats.
And the photograph at the back of the book is by your son, I'm guessing.
Yes, it is by my son. Yes.
Okay. So anything else you want to add about to a future author? I know you're a book old, but that one book is a lot of experience, if you ask me. People
who would like to write should do that, because I hear so many people when I tell them, look, I've written a book, they say, oh yeah, I should also write a book. So I always say, they ask me, how is it? So I say that if I can write a book, I think anybody can write a book, because I have no knowledge about, say, literature or anything like that. It was just, I wanted to write a book and that's it. So what is the most difficult part of it is not writing. It's the editing and the correcting. Because you have to probably read your manuscript, maybe about 500 times. So if you have the determination to just go through that, that is what makes a published book from a person who hasn't published a book. Because you haven't gotten down to sitting and doing that bit. So anybody who can have that, because all of us are writers, all of us have ideas, all of us have memories which you can write about. So it's just doing this bit. So if I can write a book, I think everybody on this planet can do that and do it as successfully or probably much, much more than what I have done.
I guess you're being modest, but then.
Very modest, yes.
Yeah.
No, I think it's true. It's really true.
Okay,
There's another friend of mine who, in fact, when I wanted to write the book, she has written a few books. So I would ask her, how did you go about it? She said when she was doing a literature course in Stella Maris, she said it was a group of 50, or I don't know how many students, she said many of them were better than her in English. Many of them would write better, read better, speak better, but none of them have written a book. This is the only thing which differentiates you from writing a book and from a wannabe writer is just this. You should have that drive to see it through. That is the only thing which makes a difference. You don't have to be a great speaker. I mean, absolutely, English need not be absolutely perfect. You need not have a flow of writing. You just have to put pen to paper and that's it.
Okay. So
I'm reminded of something, Nanda and Doctor, of Mrs. Sudha Murthy.
Okay.
Anybody read anything that she's written?
Yes,
it's
I have.
Very grounded, functional English. In an interview, she said, English isn't my native language, and I don't think in English. I do think in my mother tongue, and I write what I feel. So people that read my book connect to me better simply because it's a very, very ordinary language. It's not perfect English. So I guess it's a lot to do with the sincerity that comes across. But more than anything, like you say, it's the discipline of wanting to get it out there systematically, checking it. I think that discipline is very, very, very important.
220 pages or 230 pages again and again and again can be one of the most boring things. Because you would start it and you'd say there'd be so many other things which you could do, and it's a very solitary kind of like a hobby or a passion. Because you and your characters are only the ones in your milieu at that moment. Your husband, your children, your TV, everything gets cut off. So even that is a lot of sacrifice because you have to put in those 2 hours and read the same thing, the same chapters again and again and again, and to tweak it, to refine it, to see how you can do it better. It could be quite boring if you don't have the passion. If somebody you must have that passion, that drive to do that. You should be willing to do it. And and that you will not have it if you're not really passionate about that.
Right. So just to understand this better, say on a scale of 10, how much would you think is the creative element? How much do you think is the drudgery element?
Oh, I would think this creative limit will be on a scale of 1 to, it's probably about 7, but the drudgery could be 10.
Okay.
It is not easy, I don't say, even for the second book, because though it was simpler for me because I did it on Word, but the fact that you're reading the same chapter, probably maybe 500, 600 times the same chapter again to tweak it and tweak it. Maybe there are others like who are prolific writers who are able to do it much faster, and they feel that this job is done and they are happy with it, with the result. But for a person like me who hasn't written one book and another one there, so I probably go on, to tweaking it some more, till I finally feel, okay, it cannot be tweaked anymore. So
that also calls for a lot of humility, isn't it, Doctor? I mean, it's hard to find something wrong with your own work. It's very difficult. Sometimes hard to spot errors also in your own work.
Yes, definitely. So we always, when people say that you write it and leave it for a while, don't go back immediately to see where you've spotted a mistake. You keep it for some time, maybe a month, then you take it out, read it again. So, and you see, because then you can get a different perspective also. So if you put, if you put a little bit of humor there, it would sound better, or you can cut a little bit here. So,
and
if you allow it to to stay there, but in Tamil we say "Oora vechifai," keep it for some time, and then take it up after a while. You can pick up something.
Right, and too early to talk about being financial rewarding. Is it rewarding at all?
Definitely not. If you think you're going to make money out of writing, just forget it.
Forget about it.
No way. Because I think you'll be able to make money if you're probably like a Chetan Bhagat, or there is no money in writing. You're doing it for just self-gratification, and it's your baby. And so you have a tremendous relief, because when the book came, because this was something which was so alien to me, and I wanted to write this book. When the books finally came home, for a minute, I just broke down, and sobbed my heart out. My husband was looking at me and saying, "What is wrong with you?" He said, "No, it was the sheer relief of seeing it finally in print." So I just couldn't even open the package because I was so relieved that it's just over and it's there. But that kind of a thrill and that kind of a thing is unimaginable.
Yes.
And that compensates for everything, right?
Oh, I think so. Definitely, definitely. And one feedback you get from some place and say, Doc, I read your book and it was nice. And you feel, oh my goodness, you've made somebody happy. And yes, that one chunk of drudgery gets out. So you get a few more people saying that, and you feel so much better. But I think it's a lot like giving birth to a child. Once you're done with it, don't even remember about the pain and the problems you went through. You're just so happy with the result. So
it's remarkable that you mentioned this, because just a week back I read somewhere that how pain doesn't really stay in your psyche for long, because in that case every woman would have had only one child.
Yes, definitely, definitely. You wouldn't have even thought of the second, definitely.
Yeah. So how
because the end result is so beautiful. So
right.
that pain is just kind of wiped out. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So it's been great speaking with you, and thanks for the time that you gave us.
I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.